watching my coffee cup shake in my hand during breakfast, feeling my energy drain away by mid-morning, canceling plans with friends because I just did not have the strength to leave the house. This was my reality for the first 2 years after my Parkinson's diagnosis. The tremors were unpredictable and embarrassing, showing up at the worst possible moments, making simple tasks feel impossible. But even worse than the tremors was the crushing fatigue that made every day feel like I was moving through thick mud. My neurologist kept adjusting my medications, and while they helped with the motor symptoms, they did nothing for my energy levels. In fact, some of them made me even more tired. I remember thinking, this is it. This is my new normal, a life of constant shaking and perpetual exhaustion. But then something remarkable happened. I discovered that certain foods eaten consistently every single day could dramatically reduce both my tremors and my fatigue. Not occasionally, not sometimes, but reliably and predictably. I'm talking about specific foods that science has proven protect your dopamine-producing brain cells, reduce inflammation in your nervous system, stabilize your blood sugar to prevent energy crashes, and provide the exact nutrients your brain needs to function at its best. Over the course of 8 months, I built a daily eating routine around these foods. Nothing extreme, nothing complicated, just strategic choices 3 times a day, plus snacks. The results shocked even my neurologist. My tremors decreased by about 50 to 60%. I went from needing a nap every afternoon to having steady energy throughout the entire day. I started doing activities I had given up on: gardening, woodworking, playing with my grandchildren without feeling completely wiped out afterwards. My wife said it was like getting the old me back, the person I was before Parkinson's stole my vitality. Today I want to share with you the exact foods I eat every single day, why each one matters for tremor control and energy, how to combine them for maximum benefit, and the simple daily routine that transformed my quality of life. If you are tired of feeling tired, if you are frustrated with tremors that control your life, if you want to wake up with energy instead of dread, then everything is about to change for you, because what I am going to teach you works. It is backed by science. It is proven by my experience and the experience of dozens of others who have tried this approach. And you can start implementing it tomorrow morning before we dive into the specific foods that changed everything for me. I want to know where you are watching from today and what your biggest challenge is right now. Is it the tremors that make you self-conscious in public? Or is it the fatigue that steals your ability to enjoy life? Maybe it is both. Drop a comment below telling me which symptom affects you most. Your input helps me create content that addresses your real struggles. Plus, you might find that others in our community are dealing with the exact same challenges and can offer support or advice. Let me start by explaining why what you eat every single day matters so much for both tremors and energy levels. Your brain is an incredibly energy-hungry organ. It represents only about 2% of your body weight, but it uses roughly 20% of all the energy you consume. The dopamine-producing neurons that are affected in Parkinson's disease have especially high energy demands because they have long branching connections and are constantly firing signals. When these neurons do not get the nutrients and energy they need, they function poorly. This shows up as worse tremors, more rigidity, slower movements, and crushing fatigue. On top of that, Parkinson's disease involves chronic inflammation in the brain. This neuroinflammation damages cells and makes symptoms worse. Every inflammatory food you eat adds fuel to this fire. Every anti-inflammatory food you eat helps calm it down. Your blood sugar stability also plays a huge role. When you eat foods that spike your blood sugar and then cause it to crash, your tremors get worse during the spike, and your energy plummets during the crash. This roller coaster happens multiple times per day for most people, creating a pattern of unpredictable symptoms and constant exhaustion. Finally, your gut health directly impacts your brain health through what scientists call the gut-brain axis. An unhealthy gut increases inflammation, produces neurotoxic compounds, and may even be where Parkinson's disease begins years before motor symptoms appear. So when I talk about eating specific foods every single day, I'm talking about foods that provide clean, steady energy for your hungry brain cells, reduce the inflammation, damaging your neurons, keep your blood sugar stable so your symptoms stay predictable, and heal your gut to support overall brain health. This is not about willpower or deprivation. This is about giving your brain and body what they actually need to function well. The first food I eat absolutely every single day is wild-caught fatty fish, specifically salmon, sardines, mackerel, or herring. I eat at least 1 serving, which is about 4 ounces, at least 5 days per week. On the 2 days I do not eat fish, I take a high-quality fish oil supplement. Fatty fish provides omega-3 fatty acids in the forms of EPA and DHA. These are the most powerful anti-inflammatory compounds you can consume. They are incorporated directly into the membranes of your brain cells, where they improve communication between neurons, protect against oxidative damage, and reduce the neuroinflammation that drives Parkinson's progression. Multiple research studies have specifically looked at omega-3 intake in people with Parkinson's disease. The findings are consistent. Higher omega-3 consumption is associated with better motor function, slower disease progression, and yes, reduced tremor intensity. But omega-3s also dramatically impact energy levels. They improve mitochondrial function. These mitochondria are the energy-producing factories inside every cell. When your mitochondria work better, you produce more cellular energy. This translates directly into having more physical energy and less fatigue. Omega-3s also help stabilize mood and reduce depression, which is common in Parkinson's, and which significantly contributes to fatigue. I noticed within about 4 weeks of eating fatty fish daily that my baseline tremor was less intense. My energy was more stable throughout the day, and I was sleeping better at night, which further improved my daytime energy. If you cannot afford wild-caught salmon regularly, canned sardines and mackerel are much more affordable and just as nutritious. In fact, sardines are one of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. They provide omega-3s, vitamin D, calcium, vitamin B12, and selenium all in one tiny package. The second food I eat every single day without exception is dark, leafy greens. I consume at least 2 cups of cooked greens or 4 cups of raw greens daily. This includes spinach, kale, collard greens, Swiss chard, arugula, mustard greens, and turnip greens. I rotate through different types to get a variety of nutrients. Dark leafy greens are absolute powerhouses for both tremor control and energy. They provide folate, which is essential for producing dopamine and other neurotransmitters. Low folate levels are associated with worse Parkinson's symptoms and more depression. They contain magnesium, which many Parkinson's patients are deficient in. Magnesium helps regulate muscle contractions and nerve signals. So, adequate magnesium reduces tremor intensity and muscle cramping. They offer iron, which is necessary for energy production. Iron deficiency is surprisingly common in Parkinson's disease and directly causes fatigue. They provide vitamin K, which protects against brain inflammation and supports cognitive function. And they contain compounds that boost your body's production of glutathione. This is your master antioxidant, and people with Parkinson's have severely depleted glutathione levels in their brains. By eating greens every day, you help restore these protective levels. I get my greens in multiple ways throughout the day. I have a green smoothie most mornings with spinach blended with berries and almond milk. I eat a big salad with mixed greens for lunch, and I have sautéed or steamed greens as a side dish with dinner. Within a few weeks of eating this much greens daily, I noticed I had more sustained energy. I was not hitting that afternoon wall of exhaustion, and my tremors were more predictable and less severe. The third food I eat every single day is berries. At least 1 full cup of mixed berries. I prefer blueberries, strawberries, and blackberries, because these have been most studied for brain health. Berries are packed with compounds called anthocyanins and other polyphenols that have remarkable neuroprotective effects. These compounds can cross the blood-brain barrier and accumulate in brain regions responsible for motor control. Research has shown that regular berry consumption improves motor function in people with neurodegenerative diseases. Berries also provide a type of energy that is unique. They contain natural sugars for quick energy, but they are also high in fiber, which slows down sugar absorption. This means you get an energy boost without the blood sugar spike and crash. Berries are also one of the best foods for mitochondrial health. Remember those energy factories in your cells. Berries contain compounds that specifically support mitochondrial function, leading to better energy production. I add berries to my morning smoothie or oatmeal. I snack on them in the afternoon. And sometimes I blend frozen berries into a sorbet for a healthy dessert. The impact of daily berry consumption on my energy was noticeable within just 2 weeks. I had more mental clarity and physical stamina. The fourth food I eat every single day is walnuts. About 10 to 12 walnut halves, which is roughly 1 ounce. Walnuts are the only nut that provides significant amounts of alpha-linolenic acid, a plant-based omega-3 fat. While not as potent as the omega-3s from fish, ALA still provides anti-inflammatory benefits and supports brain cell membrane health. Walnuts also contain compounds that support the production of melatonin, which helps with sleep, Better sleep directly translates to better daytime energy and fewer Parkinson's symptoms. Multiple studies have linked regular walnut consumption to better cognitive function and protection against neurodegenerative diseases. Walnuts provide steady energy from healthy fats and protein without spiking blood sugar. I keep a container of walnuts in my car, at my desk, and in my kitchen, so they are always available when I need a snack. Pairing walnuts with a piece of fruit gives you the perfect combination of quick energy from the fruit and sustained energy from the nuts. The fifth food I consume every single day is extra virgin olive oil. I use about 3 to 4 tablespoons daily on salads, drizzled on vegetables, and for low-temperature cooking. Extra virgin olive oil is a cornerstone of the Mediterranean diet, which has been extensively studied for brain health benefits. Olive oil contains oleocanthal, a compound with powerful anti-inflammatory properties similar to ibuprofen. It has been shown to help clear abnormal protein accumulations from the brain, reduce oxidative stress, and protect neurons from damage. Olive oil also provides steady energy in the form of monounsaturated fats. These healthy fats do not spike blood sugar, and they help you absorb fat-soluble vitamins from your vegetables. People often worry about consuming this much fat, but your brain actually needs healthy fats to function properly. Since using olive oil liberally every day, I have noticed more stable energy levels, and my tremors are less reactive to stress. Before we continue with more essential daily foods, I want to pause and create space for you to share something valuable with our community. Have you noticed any patterns with your tremors or energy levels? Maybe your symptoms are worse at certain times of day, or maybe you have already discovered that certain foods affect how you feel. Sharing your observations in the comments helps everyone learn. You might simply write something like, "I notice my tremors are worst in the morning," or "My energy crashes every afternoon around 3. Whatever your experience, there is no judgment here. We are all figuring this out together. Your comment might be exactly what someone else needs to read today to feel less alone. Plus, your input helps me understand what topics to cover in future videos. So take a moment right now and share your experience below. Then let us continue with the remaining foods that complete this daily routine. The sixth food I eat every single day is a serving of fermented foods. This includes sauerkraut, kimchi, fermented pickles, kombucha, or coconut yogurt. I have a small serving with at least 2 meals per day. The connection between gut health and Parkinson's disease is one of the most exciting areas of current research. Scientists have discovered that the gut microbiome in people with Parkinson's looks dramatically different from healthy individuals, with lower levels of beneficial bacteria and higher levels of potentially harmful bacteria. An unhealthy gut increases inflammation throughout your body, including in your brain. It produces neurotoxic compounds that damage neurons, and it may be where Parkinson's disease actually begins decades before motor symptoms appear. By eating fermented foods rich in probiotics every day, you populate your gut with beneficial bacteria that reduce inflammation, strengthen your gut barrier, produce vitamins and neurotransmitter precursors, and support overall brain health. The impact on energy was one of the most surprising benefits for me. Within about 6 weeks of eating fermented foods daily, my digestion improved dramatically. I had less bloating and constipation, which is a major issue in Parkinson's, and my energy levels became much more stable and predictable. I believe that healing my gut reduced overall inflammation, which benefited every system in my body, including my brain. The seventh food I consume every single day is turmeric. I add about half a teaspoon to a full teaspoon to my food. Turmeric contains curcumin, which is one of the most powerful natural anti-inflammatory compounds known to science. Curcumin can cross the blood-brain barrier, where it reduces neuroinflammation and oxidative stress. It may help prevent the accumulation of alpha-synuclein protein that builds up in Parkinson's disease, and it supports the production of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which helps protect and repair neurons. Studies on curcumin and Parkinson's disease have shown promising results for reducing motor symptoms and potentially slowing disease progression. The key with turmeric is to always combine it with black pepper. Black pepper contains piperine, which increases curcumin absorption by up to 2,000%. I add turmeric and black pepper to scrambled eggs, soups, roasted vegetables, smoothies, and I make golden milk in the evenings. Within a few weeks of daily turmeric consumption, I noticed my tremors were less reactive to stress. Stressful situations that used to trigger intense shaking no longer had the same effect. The eighth food I eat every single day is a complex carbohydrate, either steel-cut oatmeal, quinoa, brown rice, or sweet potato. I include one of these with at least 2 meals per day. Complex carbohydrates provide steady, sustained energy that your brain absolutely needs to function. Your brain runs primarily on glucose. But the key is getting that glucose from slow-digesting sources rather than refined sugars and white flour. Complex carbohydrates break down gradually, providing a steady stream of energy without blood sugar spikes and crashes. They also provide B vitamins, which are essential for energy production and dopamine synthesis. They offer fiber, which supports gut health and helps you feel full and satisfied. Sweet potatoes deserve special mention because they are loaded with beta-carotene, vitamin C, and compounds that may help reduce insulin resistance, which is common in Parkinson's disease. I start most days with steel-cut oatmeal topped with berries, walnuts, and flaxseed. I include quinoa or brown rice with lunch, and I often have a baked sweet potato with dinner. This steady intake of complex carbohydrates keeps my energy stable all day long and prevents the blood sugar crashes that worsen tremors. The 9th food I eat every single day is cruciferous vegetables. At least 1 cup of cooked broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, or cabbage. Cruciferous vegetables contain compounds called glucosinolates that support your body's detoxification systems. They help remove harmful substances that could damage brain cells. Broccoli specifically contains sulforaphane, a compound that has been shown in studies to protect dopamine neurons and reduce neuroinflammation. Cruciferous vegetables also provide vitamin C, folate, and fiber, all of which support energy production and brain health. I steam or roast cruciferous vegetables and eat them as side dishes with lunch or dinner. I also add raw cabbage to salads. These vegetables have become non-negotiable in my daily routine because I notice a difference in how I feel when I skip them. The 10th food I consume every single day is green tea. I drink 2 to 3 cups daily. Green tea contains a compound called EGCG, or epigallocatechin gallate, that has been shown in multiple studies to protect dopamine-producing neurons from damage. EGCG crosses the blood-brain barrier where it provides antioxidant and anti-inflammatory benefits. Green tea also contains L-theanine, an amino acid that promotes calm, focused energy without jitters. This combination of caffeine and L-theanine provides steady mental energy and improved concentration. I drink green tea mid-morning and mid-afternoon. It gives me an energy boost without the crash that coffee sometimes causes. If you are sensitive to caffeine, choose decaffeinated green tea, which still contains the beneficial EGCG. Now let me walk you through how I structure my daily meals around these essential foods. This is not theoretical. This is exactly what I eat most days. For breakfast around 7:30 in the morning, I have steel-cut oatmeal cooked with cinnamon and a pinch of turmeric. I top it with fresh or frozen blueberries, a tablespoon of ground flaxseed for additional omega-3s, about 10 walnut halves, and a drizzle of almond butter. This breakfast provides complex carbohydrates for sustained energy, omega-3s from the flaxseed and walnuts, brain protective compounds from the berries, and anti-inflammatory turmeric. It keeps me full and energized for about 3 to 4 hours. I also have a cup of green tea with breakfast. On mornings when I want something lighter or faster, I make a smoothie with 1 cup of spinach, half a banana, 1 cup of mixed frozen berries, 1 tablespoon of almond butter, 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed, a 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric, a pinch of black pepper, and unsweetened almond milk. This smoothie packs an incredible amount of nutrition into 1 glass and takes only 5 minutes to make it around 10 or 10:30. I have my mid-morning snack, which is always walnuts paired with either an apple or a pear. This combination gives me quick energy from the fruit and sustained energy from the healthy fats and protein in the walnuts. It prevents any mid-morning energy dip and keeps my tremors stable. For lunch, around 12:30 or 1, I have a large salad that fills at least half my plate. The base is always mixed dark leafy greens like spinach, arugula, and romaine. I add a variety of colorful vegetables including shredded purple cabbage, cherry tomatoes, sliced cucumbers, shredded carrots, and bell peppers. I include a half cup of cooked quinoa or chickpeas for complex carbohydrates and plant protein. I add half an avocado for healthy fats. And if my medication timing allows, I sometimes include a small piece of grilled salmon. I dress the salad generously with extra virgin olive oil, lemon juice, and a sprinkle of turmeric and black pepper. Alongside my salad, I always have a small serving of fermented vegetables, either a few forkfuls of sauerkraut or kimchi. This lunch is incredibly nutrient-dense and provides steady energy throughout the afternoon. At around 3 or 3:30 I have another snack, usually either a few squares of dark chocolate with at least 75% cacao, or a few dates stuffed with almond butter. I pair this with another cup of green tea. This snack satisfies any sweet cravings, while providing antioxidants and steady energy. It prevents the late afternoon energy crash that used to plague me. For dinner around 6 or 6:30, I follow a simple template. I include a palm-sized portion of protein, which is usually wild-caught salmon, sardines, grass-fed beef, or organic chicken. I fill half my plate with vegetables, always including at least one cruciferous vegetable like broccoli or cauliflower, and one colorful vegetable like roasted beets or butternut squash. I add a fist-sized portion of complex carbohydrates, usually a baked sweet potato, and I cook everything with generous amounts of extra virgin olive oil, garlic, turmeric, and other herbs and spices. One of my favorite dinners is baked salmon seasoned with lemon and dill, roasted broccoli with olive oil and turmeric, and a baked sweet potato. This meal provides omega-3s, cruciferous vegetables for detoxification, complex carbohydrates for sustained energy, and multiple servings of anti-inflammatory compounds. I also have another small serving of fermented vegetables with dinner, either more sauerkraut or a few sips of kombucha in the evening. If I am genuinely hungry, I have a very light snack, either a small handful of raw almonds or a small bowl of coconut yogurt with a few berries. I also make golden milk, which is almond milk warmed with turmeric, black pepper, cinnamon, ginger, and a touch of honey. This evening beverage is soothing, anti-inflammatory, and helps me sleep better. Better sleep directly translates to better energy and symptom control the next day. Looking at this daily meal plan, you might think it sounds like a lot of food or a lot of work, but once you get into a routine, it becomes second nature. I do meal prep on Sundays, where I cook large batches of oatmeal, quinoa, and roasted vegetables for the week. I wash and chop salad vegetables ahead of time. I bake several salmon fillets that I can eat throughout the week. This 2 hours of prep on Sunday saves me hours during the week and eliminates excuses the results of eating. This way consistently have been truly life-changing. Within the first month, I noticed my energy was more stable. I was not hitting that afternoon wall of exhaustion anymore. By 2 months, my tremors had decreased noticeably. They were less frequent and less intense. By 3 months, my neurologist was impressed with my stability. He said my progression was much slower than he expected. By 6 months, I had that 50 to 60% reduction in tremor intensity, and my energy levels were the best they had been since before my diagnosis. I can now do activities that were impossible a year ago. I garden for an hour without needing to rest. I play with my grandchildren without feeling completely drained. I have the energy to be social and maintain friendships instead of isolating at home. My mood has improved dramatically, which makes sense given the gut-brain connection and the impact of nutrition on neurotransmitter production. I want to be realistic with you about what to expect. These results did not happen overnight. The first week I honestly did not notice much difference except that my digestion was improving. By week 2, I started having slightly more energy in the afternoons. By week 3, my tremors seemed a bit more stable, though I was not completely certain. By week 6, the improvements were undeniable, and they continued to build from there. This gradual timeline makes sense because you are healing chronic inflammation, which takes time. You are changing your metabolism and how your body produces energy, which does not happen instantly. And you are supporting your brain cells to function better, which is a cumulative process. Consistency is everything. Eating this way 90% of the time will give you results. Trying to be perfect 100% of the time will lead to frustration and giving up. If this video has inspired you to take control of your tremors and energy through daily food choices, I invite you to join the Beyond Parkinson community. By subscribing to this channel, we share weekly evidence-based strategies for managing every aspect of Parkinson's disease, from nutrition and exercise to sleep and emotional well-being. Our community is supportive and understanding because many of us are on this journey together. When you subscribe, you will receive practical, actionable information that can genuinely improve your quality of life. To subscribe, simply click the button below this video and then the bell icon so you do not miss any new content. Remember that small daily choices add up to major improvements over time. Every healthy meal you eat is an investment in your brain health. Every tremor-reducing food you choose is a gift to your nervous system. You have more power over your symptoms than you might think, and we are here to support you every single step of the way. Now I want to address some of the practical challenges you might face when implementing this daily eating routine. Because knowing what to eat is one thing, but actually doing it consistently is where most people struggle. The first challenge is cost. Some people look at this list of foods and think they cannot afford to eat this way. I understand that concern, especially if you are on a fixed income, but let me share some strategies that make this affordable. First, frozen vegetables and berries are just as nutritious as fresh and often much cheaper. I buy large bags of frozen spinach, broccoli, and mixed berries and use them daily. Second, canned fish like sardines and mackerel are incredibly inexpensive compared to fresh salmon. A can of sardines costs about $2 and provides the same omega-3 benefits. Third, buying nuts and seeds in bulk from warehouse stores or the bulk section of grocery stores saves significant money. Fourth, growing some of your own greens is surprisingly easy even in a small space. I grow kale and Swiss chard in containers on my patio. Fifth, cooking at home instead of eating out or buying prepared foods actually saves money even when buying healthier ingredients. When I calculated my food costs, I found that eating this way costs about the same as my old diet of processed convenience foods. The difference is that now my food is actually helping my symptoms instead of making them worse. The second challenge is time and energy for meal preparation. When you have Parkinson's disease and chronic fatigue, spending hours in the kitchen feels impossible. This is where strategic meal prep becomes essential. I dedicate 2 hours every Sunday to batch cooking for the week. I make a huge pot of steel-cut oatmeal that I portion into containers. I cook several cups of quinoa and brown rice. I bake 4 to 6 salmon fillets. I roast large trays of vegetables. I wash and chop all my salad ingredients. I hard-boil a dozen eggs, and I make a large batch of soup or stew. These 2 hours of work on Sunday, when I typically have more energy, eliminate the need for extensive cooking during the week. On weekday mornings, I simply reheat my prepared oatmeal and add fresh toppings. For lunch, I assemble a salad from prepped ingredients in minutes. For dinner, I combine my prepared protein, vegetables, and starches. This system has been absolutely crucial to maintaining consistency, even on days when my energy is low or my symptoms are worse. The third challenge is dealing with cravings for old familiar foods, especially in the first few weeks after changing your diet. I am not going to lie. I had intense cravings for pizza, ice cream, cookies, all the comfort foods I used to eat. What helped me most was having healthy alternatives readily available. When I craved something sweet, I would eat a few dates with almond butter or make a smoothie with frozen bananas that tastes like ice cream. When I wanted something crunchy and salty, I would have raw nuts or vegetables with guacamole. When I wanted comfort food, I would make a baked sweet potato with olive oil and cinnamon or a bowl of oatmeal with berries. I also realized that many of my cravings were not actually about physical hunger, but about emotions or habits. I was eating certain foods because I was stressed, bored, or because it was what I always did while watching TV. Once I started addressing the underlying emotions through meditation, journaling, and talking with friends, the cravings diminished significantly. By month 2, they were much less intense, and by month 3, they were almost completely gone. The fourth challenge is social situations and eating out. Most restaurants cook with processed oils, add excessive salt and sugar, and serve portions that are way too large. I developed several strategies for navigating these situations. First, I research restaurants ahead of time, looking for places that offer healthier options and are willing to accommodate special requests. Second, I eat a small, healthy snack before going out so I am not ravenously hungry and tempted to make poor choices. Third, I ask specific questions about how food is prepared and request modifications. I ask for grilled instead of fried, olive oil instead of butter, dressing on the side, extra vegetables instead of fries. Fourth, I sometimes bring my own salad dressing in a small container since most restaurant dressings are made with soybean oil. Yes, it feels a bit awkward, but my health is more important than worrying about what people think. Fifth, I focus on the social connection rather than the food, reminding myself that I am there to enjoy time with friends or family, not to indulge in unhealthy food. The fifth challenge is dealing with well-meaning family and friends who do not understand why you are being so particular about food. I have had people tell me I am being too extreme, that I should just enjoy life and not worry so much about every bite of food, that stress about food is worse than eating unhealthy food. These comments come from a good place, but they show a fundamental misunderstanding of what it is like to live with Parkinson's disease. I learned to set clear boundaries and explain my choices without being preachy or defensive. I simply say something like, I have found that certain foods make my symptoms significantly worse, and other foods help me feel better. This is what works for my body and my health. Most people respect that once they understand it is based on my actual experience, not just following a fad diet. For the few people who continue to push unhealthy food on me, I have learned to politely but firmly decline without feeling guilty. Let me share some additional tips that have made this daily eating routine sustainable long-term. First, I keep my kitchen stocked with all the essential foods, so healthy choices are always easy and convenient. I never want to be in a situation where I am hungry, and the only available option is unhealthy food. Second, I prep grab-and-go options for busy days. Individual portions of nuts in small containers, hard-boiled eggs in the fridge, cut vegetables with guacamole. This way, even on my worst days when cooking feels impossible, I still have healthy food readily available. Third, I use a meal planning app or simple notebook to plan my meals for the week. This eliminates decision fatigue and ensures I am getting variety and all the essential foods. Fourth, I involve my spouse in meal planning and preparation. Not only does this make the work easier, but it also means we are both eating healthier and supporting each other. Fifth, I give myself permission to be flexible. If I am traveling, or there is a special occasion, I do not stress about perfect adherence. I make the best choices available, and then get back to my routine the next day. This flexibility prevents the all-or-nothing thinking that causes people to give up entirely. I also want to talk about the timing of meals in relation to Parkinson's medications, because this can significantly impact both tremor control and energy levels. Levodopa, which is the most common Parkinson's medication, competes with dietary protein for absorption in the intestines. If you eat protein at the same time as your medication, much of the medication will not get absorbed. This leads to weaker symptom control and more tremors. I worked with my neurologist to develop a medication and meal timing strategy. I take my morning medication as soon as I wake up, then wait 30 to 45 minutes before eating breakfast. This ensures the medication is absorbed before food enters my system. My breakfast is relatively low in protein, focusing instead on complex carbohydrates and healthy fats. I take my midday medication, then wait at least an hour before lunch. Lunch includes moderate protein from plant sources or a small amount of fish. I save my main protein intake for dinner, eating it at least 2 to 3 hours after my last medication dose. This timing strategy has dramatically improved my medication effectiveness. My tremors are much better controlled throughout the day, and I needed lower medication doses, which means fewer side effects. Consistent meal timing is also crucial. I eat at roughly the same times every day, which helps stabilize blood sugar and makes my symptoms more predictable. Hydration is another often overlooked factor that significantly impacts both tremors and energy. I was chronically dehydrated before I paid attention to this. Drinking maybe 4 glasses of water per day at most. Dehydration worsens tremors because it affects nerve signal transmission. It increases fatigue because your cells need water to produce energy efficiently. It causes or worsens constipation, which is already a major issue in Parkinson's disease, and it affects how well medications are absorbed and distributed in your body. I now drink at least 8 to 10 glasses of water throughout the day. I start every morning with a large glass of water before anything else. I keep a reusable water bottle with me at all times and refill it multiple times per day. I drink herbal tea in addition to plain water for variety. I eat water, rich foods like cucumbers, tomatoes, and watermelon. Proper hydration has made a noticeable difference in my energy levels and overall symptom control. I have fewer headaches, less constipation, better mental clarity, and more stable tremors. Let me share a few success stories from others who have implemented this daily eating approach. I connected with a man named Tom at a Parkinson's support group. He was 68 years old and had been dealing with severe tremors and crushing fatigue for 4 years. He was skeptical about dietary changes making any real difference, but he was desperate enough to try. He committed to eating the 10 essential foods I have described every single day for 3 months. He started with small changes, first eliminating processed oils and refined sugar, then gradually adding in the beneficial foods. After 6 weeks, he reported that his energy had improved noticeably. He was no longer needing daily naps, and he could work in his garden for longer periods. After 3 months, his tremors had decreased enough that he could return to woodworking, which he had given up 2 years earlier. He told me with emotion in his voice that being able to create things with his hands again gave him back a sense of purpose and identity he thought he had lost forever. Then there is Patricia, a 70-year-old retired nurse whose Parkinson's symptoms were progressing rapidly. She had gone from needing a cane to needing a walker in just 6 months. Her energy was so low that she spent most of the day in bed or on the couch. After hearing about the connection between diet and symptoms, she overhauled her eating completely. She focused especially on eating fatty fish daily, massive amounts of leafy greens, and eliminating all processed foods. Within 2 months, she had enough energy to start physical therapy, which she had previously been too exhausted to attend. Within 4 months, she had graduated from her walker back to a cane. Her neurologist was amazed by her improvement and actually asked her what she was doing differently so he could share it with other patients. Stories like these remind me that while we cannot cure Parkinson's disease with diet, we can absolutely influence our quality of life and potentially slow the progression. I also want to mention a few supplements that complement this daily eating approach. While whole foods should always be your foundation, certain supplements can provide additional support. I take a high-quality fish oil supplement on days when I do not eat fatty fish, providing at least 2,000 milligrams of combined EPA and DHA. I take vitamin D3 because my blood levels were low, and vitamin D is crucial for brain health and immune function. Most people with Parkinson's are deficient in vitamin D. I take a B-complex vitamin that includes active forms of B6, B12, and folate because these support dopamine production and are often depleted by Parkinson's medications. I take coenzyme Q10 in the ubiquinol form because it supports mitochondrial function and energy production. I take a high-quality probiotic with multiple strains and at least 20 billion CFUs to support gut health alongside the fermented foods I eat. And I take curcumin supplements on days when I do not cook with turmeric, looking for products with enhanced absorption. I did not start all these supplements at once. I added them gradually over months, and I discussed each one with my neurologist to check for interactions with my medications. Supplements are helpful, but they are not magic pills. They work best as part of a comprehensive approach that includes the whole foods daily eating routine. I have described one question I frequently get asked is whether this approach works for everyone with Parkinson's disease, or if my results are unique to me. The honest answer is that every person responds somewhat differently, because Parkinson's disease is heterogeneous. It manifests differently in different people with varying symptoms and progression rates. However, the fundamental principles underlying this eating approach are universally beneficial for brain health. Reducing inflammation benefits everyone. Stabilizing blood sugar benefits everyone. Providing neuroprotective nutrients benefits everyone. Supporting gut health benefits everyone. Even if your tremor reduction or energy improvement is not as dramatic as mine, you will still be supporting your overall health and potentially slowing disease progression. That is absolutely worthwhile. I have personally connected with dozens of people who have tried this approach, and while the degree of benefit varies, almost everyone reports some improvement in symptoms and quality of life. The key is giving it enough time, at least 8 to 12 weeks of consistent implementation before fully evaluating results. Thank you for spending this time with me today. I truly hope this information empowers you to experience less tremors and more energy starting tomorrow. Take excellent care of yourself, and I will see you in the next video.